Hi, my name's Kirsty Hughes and welcome to video 2 in my Energy Empowerment series for Earth Warriors. If you missed video 1, then stop this now and go back and check it out because I covered 3 key steps for starting to take that empowerment around our personal energy. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing how we can stop our energy leaking. I know that as Earth Warriors, when you feel drained, when you feel like you don't have energy, then you don't have what you need to be able to fulfill your soul's calling, that desire to heal the earth. But you also don't have the energy to live your life the way that you want it and enjoy it the way that you want it. So by the end of this video, you'll have some ideas and some tools to start taking back your power in relation to what is draining your energy. I'm going to be discussing a metaphor that I use to think about my energy levels. I'm going to be discussing the power of tuning into your intuition and taking part in the conversation with your body. And I'm going to finish off with some fun and easy activities to start having that conversation. So first of all, I'm a very visual person, and to understand things I need to see it in my mind. So when I think about my energy, I've come up with this metaphor, which is a bath. And so if my energy is full, then the bath is full. And if my bath is overflowing, then that is the energy that I have to spare, if you like. That is the energy that goes into my work and my other projects, and the energy that goes into my relationships and my friendships and into my community. In the past, before I had learnt all this stuff about energy, I was giving to those things, to my work and my projects and relationships, from the energy that was in my bath. And I ended up with no energy left in my bath because I had given it all away to these other things, mostly unwittingly, but it meant that I was completely depleted, burnt out, like I mentioned in the first video, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I don't want that for you. So let's learn about how we can start to identify these. To stretch the metaphor a bit further, sometimes it can help to have some other questions that we can ask. And so I think about, if my bath isn't full of energy, or if it's not overflowing, why is that? Where are the leaks? Where is it draining out of? So is the plug out of the drain? Are there cracks in this bath? Or is it being siphoned off? Or is the energy in that bath compromised some way? Is it being diluted, or is it being polluted? And for everybody, this will be different. There are thousands and thousands of different ways that our energy can drain from us. And so what it is for me might actually be completely different for you. So for example, if I don't get 8 or even 8.5 hours sleep, then I'm a bit useless. The next day I don't think, clearly I'm not at my peak performance, but somebody else getting 7 hours might be plenty. And so it's different for each of us. And so we really have to tune in and learn what our particular energy drains are. So the first thing that we can do for that is to tune into our intuition. Everybody has access to their intuition. Sometimes we're so out of practice that we don't believe that we even have access to this, but I'm here to tell you that we do, and it's just like a muscle. And when we use this muscle, it gets stronger. So when we learn to listen to our intuition, then we can take action on it. And the more we take action on our intuition, the more we can start to trust it and get the feeling for it. It can take courage though, because our intuition is the small, quiet voice in our mind. It's the one that comes first. So whatever is the first thing that pops into your head, that is probably the answer. And it's only going to be the next step for you. Our intuition usually doesn't tell us the whole path for the next 10 years. Now, the second voice that pops into our head is usually very firm, very black and white, very demanding. And this is the voice of fear. It is a lot louder than the voice of our intuition, and it will tell us all of the reasons why we shouldn't listen to it. So it takes courage to listen to that voice of fear and say, oh, actually, I'm going to choose my intuition this time. Even though my intuition might be telling me something pretty different to the way that I have been living my life, which might be the case. So if you're very, very exhausted, then clearly something isn't working for you and something needs to change for you to get a change in your energy levels. So what your intuition delivers up might be quite inconvenient in the way that you have been living your life. But chances are there will be something there that's niggling in your mind that is the next step. The other thing to do with our intuition is that body knowing. So our energy is a conversation with our mind through our body. And our body might be acting as a tuning fork for our physical energy, for our biochemistry and all of those sorts of things. But it also might be tuning into our emotional energy, our mental energy, our spiritual energy. So it is just our body having a conversation with you. The more tired you are, the more it is saying, hey, listen, you need to do something differently because this isn't working for you. For whatever reason, something needs to change. So, to tune into our body, we can do that with some really simple exercises. And I'm going to share 3 of the ones that I like to use with you now so that we can start to be a part of that conversation and not just be a victim of it, if you like, not to feel like we're helpless. So that we do feel empowered about it, let's be able to have our minds be able to talk back to our body and ask questions. To have our minds be able to listen to our body before it gets to that completely depleted state and make some proactive decisions. So first of all, if you're not seated now, take a seat, get comfortable. And then we're going to tune out the external stuff, so close your eyes and just focus in on your breath. Focus in on what is happening inside of your body. And the one we're going to start with is a simple one about learning to listen to our energy. So start by thinking of someone that you just love spending time with and you can't wait to see them. Or a project that really lights you up and you could do all day. Something that you lose time doing. Now feel into your body and feel what that feels like. It might be a physical sensation like a tingling or a buzzing, or a feeling of expansion, but it also might look a certain way. You might have images coming into your mind about it. Or it might have a voice. Just be open to what your body gives you in terms of its conversation and how it speaks to you. Now to contrast that, think of somebody who you would cross the street to avoid, who you just don't want to spend time with. Or think of an activity that you would do absolutely anything else rather than do this thing. You procrastinated about it so badly. And feel how that feels in your body. And feel the difference between the two. Can you feel the difference in your body, in the sensations in your body, between someone you love seeing and can't wait to hang out with, or an activity you love doing, versus someone you'd avoid at all costs, or an activity you would avoid at all costs? So you can start to use this one in your life by, one example is if you are making a decision about something, feel into your body and picture doing that activity that you're thinking about doing. And do you get the feeling of being energized by it? Or do you get the feeling of being depleted by it? Now, it's not always black and white, so you might have to do this activity for whatever reason, but you can do it from an empowered place of knowing that it is going to affect your energy levels. And so you can do other things to make sure that your bath isn't being overly drained by that one activity. So you might spend a bit of extra time on self-care or do another activity that mitigates that draining. So we're doing it from an empowered place. It helps to know beforehand and be proactive about our energy levels. Okay, the next one I'm going to teach you is about learning when our body says yes to something and when it says no. So this is a really fun way that we can start playing and listening to our bodies for making decisions as well. So staying in our comfortable seat, staying tuned into our body. And ask yourself a question now that you know that the answer is yes. So for me, for example, I might say, is my hair out? Yes, I know the answer is yes to that. Am I shooting a video? Yes. So ask yourself a question, a simple question like that you know that the answer is yes. And feel what the feeling of yes is in your body. Now, ask yourself a question that you know that the answer will be no. So I could say, am I on a boat? No. Ask yourself a question that you know that the answer is no and feel what it feels like in your body. The feeling of no. And practice this a few times. And then we can start to play by asking our bodies questions that we don't know whether the answer is yes or no. So try it on small, insignificant things at first so that you start to feel what it feels like. And then you can get confidence with it and start using it for the bigger questions in your life. Now, the last tool that I want to give you is to have an actual conversation with your body and to tune into your gut knowing. So it's called gut instinct or gut knowing for a reason. And that's because it sits in that place in your body, in your gut. So, while you're comfortably seated, bring your breath now into that place above your navel. And you can place your hand over it if that helps you as well. We're waking it up. And I also like to imagine that there's a ball of energy in there. And you can picture this ball of energy growing and waking up this area of your body, giving it awareness. And then we can ask any question we like, bringing that question down to this place in our body. And it doesn't have to be a yes-no question. So we could use one of the ones at the start that I introduced. We could say, where are the cracks in my bath? What am I doing that is pulling the plug out of the drain of my bath? What is polluting my energy? We can ask all of these kinds of questions. And then we wait for the answer to rise up from our belly to our mind. And you'll start after a bit of practice to get to know the feeling of this kind of answer coming from your gut, because it will be that feeling of just knowing the answer, versus the kind of answers that you get from your mind, which are full of chatter and full of, oh, maybe this and maybe that, or maybe I need more, oh, maybe I need more information, and are a bit more wishy-washy often. So with a bit of practice, again, starting on the small stuff, building up to bigger things, with practice, with time, and just see how much your body does know. See what a two-way conversation you can have. Now remember, when it comes to both your intuition and your body knowing, that the most helpful thing is really to have the courage and the honesty with ourselves to get to the root cause of what is draining us. So we might say, I'm drained because I didn't get enough sleep. Well, yes, but why did you not get enough sleep? And that might open a whole can of worms. So if we keep digging and get really straight with ourselves about what is draining our energy, that's when we'll have the biggest results. And also remember that sometimes the answer that you get will be very simple. We look for these grandiose answers because the problem of drained energy feels so big to us because it affects so much of our life. But often what we will receive is a very small thing. And it will be something like, have a bushwalk now, have a cup of tea. So be open to the very, very small things. And finally, remember that the answer might be, you need to look after yourself more in this way, or you need to stop doing this or that. But it might also be, it's time now to seek external help. It's time to get support. And oftentimes, if we really tune into our intuition, a name might pop into our head. And so that we can use that, we don't have to feel isolated in this empowerment. It doesn't mean isolation or loneliness. It can mean reaching out for support when we need it. So give these a go, play with them. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know, leave a comment below. And come back for video number 3, because now we know how to start plugging our energy leaks. How do we actually fill that bath? So in the next video, I'm going to be talking about some of the ways that we can fill our bath back up so that it is that place of full and overflowing. I'll see you then.